Welcome to the premiere episode of Real Stories Leadership Series for the Canadian real estate industry. I am Ryan Ram from Matrix360, and we're excited here today to collaborate with Informa Canada to deliver a platform for leaders to share their experiences. The intent of our dialogue series is to engage with business leaders as they share their insights, stories, and wisdom. Before we commence, a little bit about Matrix360. We're an advisory platform that bridges the human experience with business innovation. It is with great privilege and responsibility that we partner as an advocate for people in our industry. Today we are at the RealCapital Forum in Toronto, Canada, and we are honored to be joined by Sharm Powell, Director at CPPIB, Canada Pension Plan Investment Board. Welcome, Sharm.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks so much for being here with us.
Thank you for asking me.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I'm very excited for this conversation. So, as a start, would you please share with us an impactful lesson that you've learned sometime during your career journey?
I guess one of the things I learned early on is to listen to myself, what I'm good at, understand my skill set, what I'm not good at, what I enjoy doing most of all. And I think I learned that very early. It was directly out of university. I took a real estate job, actually, initially just as a summer job. But I liked it so much, and I did get some good feedback from my manager pointing out, that I would probably enjoy this line of work and that I was good at certain aspects of it. And I listened to that, and I listened to myself in terms of what I really enjoy doing, and I just followed that, and that's really taken me throughout my sort of 30-year career.
Oh, that's amazing. And during that career, would you have a specific moment that you experienced that really made an impact on you or your decision to kind of continue in real estate?
I think I've always just been very good at listening to myself. I've never had a grand plan, so I have to just, always stay somewhat flexible. But I think I learned early on that I wanted to do real estate at quite a sophisticated level, if you will, an institutional level where I was challenging myself to understand the economics behind it, understand the physical nature of real estate, and I just followed that. And I think, here and there, I realized that while I was very happy at certain places that I did work, it was just time to move on because somehow I needed to challenge myself more.
Okay, that sounds great. If you could go back in time to your 20-year-old self, what are some critical pieces of advice that you would give?
Well, when I think about it, I went to work right after school. I didn't take a gap year or anything like that. And I think I would probably tell myself to just take it a little bit more easy. But that said, I think on the flip side that it was that sort of desire to keep moving forward that has brought me through my career.
Okay, that's great. And would you have any misperceptions that you think anyone's had about you during your career?
Well, I do. I speak to a lot of people on the phone, sometimes because they're out of the country and they haven't met me. And I do get, when people do meet me, the one thing that I always chuckle about is people say to me, I wish you were, I thought you would be taller than you were. Which I don't know. I take that, I hope, in the spirit, in a positive spirit, and that they somehow say I have maybe a bigger personality than they had anticipated. But I think what I would say is I'm a very approachable person. I'm nice. I try to be nice, but I also don't want to get pushed around, and I will make myself very clear in terms of what I expect from whether it be a partner or a service provider. And so I think Ryan, if you want to know about a misconception, I think you just want to make sure you know who you're dealing with, and I can be fair, but I can be tough.
Okay, good to know. Reflecting back on your career, are there any factors that you've noticed or that have played a part that are affecting employees in the workplace today?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that everybody struggles with. young people these days have a lot of opportunity, and they have very high bars in terms of what they look for in a job. I think, again, dating myself a little bit, but at the time I was out looking for my first job, you were willing to take whatever came your way, and if you loved it, great, and if not, you just struggled through it. I think young people today are that much more evolved, so much more aware of what the opportunities are, whether it be within their own city or outside of their country, and at different jobs. So I think what we have to do be very cognizant that people do have choices. And I don't think it's a matter of just pandering to every desire and whim, but I do think there's some sort of a compromise where you have to understand that people do have choices. People think about work-life balance a lot more. We are so much more of a global industry now that people are, they don't have to do it here. They could go and do it somewhere else, or they could do it in a completely different way, and I think we just have to keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. There's been a lot of change going on, and that kind of brings me to my next point. Some statistics, according to the StatsCan census, 82% of the Canadian population live in large and medium-sized cities in the country. And from our 2016 Matrix Canadian Real Estate Diversity Workplace Survey, in Ontario, over 52% of the population in urban centres are women, while less than 34% of leadership are women. And also between 35 and 54% of the working population in urban centres identify as visible minorities, while less than 25% of them are represented in leadership positions. So, considering this information and your previous response, can you share with us what you are personally doing or have been personally doing to be mindful of these and kind of adapt to these changes and maybe create a more inclusive and progressive workspace?
I think, just growing up in the real estate industry, I've tended to be in a minority in terms of gender in a room, and I just got used to it, so I didn't think about it a lot. Mm-hmm. But you're absolutely right. The things that I like a diverse team. I do like, whether it be in terms of gender or where people are from, what they bring to the table, what industries they came from. I think we're always better off if we can have diversity of thought, diversity of decision making, and I try to be very inclusive in terms of soliciting those type of views on the team.
Do you feel like you can try to incorporate that in your day-to-day work, or the people that you look for, the talent that you speak with?
Oh, absolutely. I think every time that we are out speaking to people, there are so many different people now compared to 20 years ago in terms of diversity of thought and diversity of background, and whether it be with our partners or internally, I do think that we have that opportunity every day to incorporate that into what we do.
That's amazing. To talk a little bit more about you and your career, what would you say is has a footprint that you would like to leave, or a legacy in the industry, over the next few years of your career and looking back on your whole career?
Well, I hope that I like mentoring young people, and I do participate in some industry organizations where I have the opportunity or the privilege of mentoring people, and so many of them over the years. I do hope that, some of the advice that I've offered, and I try to be very realistic and very genuine, that they've had some success with that, and that they would go on to establish successful careers and enjoy themselves and pass it on to others.
That's great. On the topic of mentorship, do you feel like we as an industry are kind of doing enough to really help and engage the youth and the talent, and kind of explain to them what the industry is about?
I hope so. I don't have another industry to benchmark it to.
Okay.
I did come from the banking industry, and I don't at that time, I wasn't aware of any of the organizations that we have in real estate. So I have to say, I think we do a pretty decent job. Always room for improvement everywhere, but I do know of several organizations within our industry that do exactly what you've done, and I think it's up to our young people to go out there and try and find mentors, which I think they're very good at doing as well.
So it's kind of like a two-way
It's a two-way street, and when I was starting in the industry, I don't recall any formal mentoring, but I just had people that I naturally gravitated to and who were kind to me and gave me advice. It was much less formal than it is now, but everything seems to be so much more formal. But as long as young people are getting an opportunity to get the type of advice and reach out to people, I think I think we're doing a decent job as an industry.
Okay, great. And just to conclude, Real Stories Leadership Series is positioned to showcase insights and wisdom from real estate leaders. And to conclude our conversation, what is one word that you would use to capture the essence of who you are as a leader?
The one word. I hope it's genuine, because I think everything that I do every day, there's many different things, but if you could just be genuine about it, whatever it is, even if it's a hard message, a difficult message, or if it's a good message, I think being genuine is very important.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much, Sharm, for being here with us today. Thank you very much to Informa Canada for partnering with us, Matrix360, on providing this insightful leadership series. And we would like to encourage you, if you'd like to learn more about Informa or about us, you can check us out on our websites. Thanks again, Sharm. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Ryan.
And I hope to continue this conversation another day.
Good. Thank you very much.
Day.